Dan Quinn confirms Brandon Coleman's new position on the offensive line. Laremy Tunsil and Marshon Lattimore are back at practice, and defensive line coach Daryl Tapp oozes about the play and the impact of Javon Kinlaw. What's up, everybody? My name is Grant, and if you're here, it's probably because you are here for the Commanders news. If you're not, you might be lost, but stick around because we're going to have a good time, go over some headlines that are bubbling out here in Ashburn and soon in Landover, Maryland at FedEx Field or Northwest Stadium. Excuse me, I'm stuck in old habits. As I mentioned, everybody, my name is Grant Mitchell. I'm here to report on some Commanders news. Please hit the subscribe button if you want to be locked in for all the future videos. Hit the like button if you are excited that we are back in mandatory minicamp. If you already pressed the like button, I really appreciate you. This is my second take at recording this video. I actually just finished and I went to upload it and I saw that my microphone here, I had pushed the mute button. Smart. It's very smart of me. But we do have a loaded episode coming up. And as I mentioned, we're going to start it off with Dan Quinn, the coach of your Washington Commanders, confirming that Brandon Coleman is going to be playing guard in the upcoming season. He made an appearance, that being Quinn, on Chris Lown's podcast, where he said that Coleman will be sliding over to guard. Coleman himself today at an interview after practice also said that he's been getting a lot of work there. So it makes sense when we run up and down the offensive line and what pretty much everyone is projecting. You've got Laremy Tunsil at left tackle, Brandon Coleman left guard, Tyler Biadasz center, Sam Cosmi right guard, Josh Connolly Jr. at the right tackle spot. And if Cosmi is not healthy when the season starts, as he's coming off that ACL tear, you're probably going to get Nick Allegretti or Andrew Wiley lining up at that right guard spot. A fully healthy Commanders offensive line, in my opinion, top 10 offensive line in the NFL. Not saying that it can't get better, but that puts them in a better position than they were last year. And just purely hypothetically here, if Terry McLaurin doesn't play another down for the Commanders and then no replacement comes in, this is purely hypothetical, not saying this is going to happen. But you ask me how to evaluate that team with the offensive line, I would say I still feel okay about it. I would love it if Terry was there. Love it if Jalen Lane becomes an all-pro or Luke McCaffrey, Michael Gallup has a resurgence. That would help a lot. But if you get a legitimately great offensive line that can produce every game, it raises your floor. It means that anytime you go up against the lesser teams, you're going to dominate the point of attack. That doesn't always mean you win games, but it means it's going to go a long way towards helping you do that. And if I think about what that would look like, it reminds me of what the Baltimore Ravens looked like in past years before they got Derrick Henry, where you had Lamar Jackson, not that he and Jayden Daniels are the exact same player, but there are similarities. You had receivers who didn't have big names or weren't performing great at that point in their career. Reliable tight ends, but not game breakers. Solid to average running backs. And look what Lamar was able to do. I mean, the guy won an MVP in his second year. Is that foreshadowing that MVP is coming for Jayden Daniels? I don't know. But point being, you give your elite quarterback protection. You let him feel safe and comfortable in that pocket. Give him time to go through his progressions, make his decisions. You're going to be okay. The offense is going to be proficient. Does that mean you're going to win a Super Bowl? No, it doesn't. You need your defense to step up. You need receivers to make plays. It helps to have a Derrick Henry in the backfield. You need smart play calling. But it does mean the floor of the team is raised a lot, and that's what's so important for the Commanders here as they go through this rebuilding phase where they're trying to bring the team up out of the ashes and up to national prominence and relevance, which they've already done in one season, and this is just a continuation of that. Speaking of the big guys on the offensive line, Laremy Tunsil, as I mentioned, along with Marshon Lattimore, they're at mandatory minicamp. And I just want to take this moment to say, we got to remember to calm down sometimes, guys. I saw the angry tweets. I saw the headlines. I saw the comments questioning how can Lattimore and Tunsil not show up when they just got here. Tunsil hasn't played a snap for this team. They're here at mandatory minicamp. There's been no talks of them holding out for a contract renegotiation. Could it happen? Sure. But I don't think they would show up at mandatory minicamp just to then not show up for the preseason or something like that. Laremy Tunsil is a multi-time Pro Bowler. To think that he is going to get the same working out with undrafted free agents and rookies, 6th, 7th round rookie picks, there's no guarantee there. It's a guy who's moving halfway across the country. Maybe he still had some things to take care of back in Texas. Maybe He just felt more comfortable working one-on-one with his skills trainer. All of that is reasonable. Marshon Lattimore is an all-pro guy who at one point in his career was in running for Defensive Player of the Year. Maybe he's not quite there at the moment, but you know what he did as soon as he got back in the building? Went to work with Mikey Sainristil and Trey Amos, doing one-on-one receiver DB drills. We just got to remember to calm down sometimes. We make headlines out of things that don't deserve it. They hadn't done anything wrong, and as soon as it was time to show up, they were there. And the fact that they are here makes me thrilled. If I know anything about this Commanders team and the Commanders team from last year and just the ethos that they're building, it's teamwork, it's brotherhood, it's community, cooperation. For them to be immersed in that over the summer takes away any concerns that any of us could have had. If they are there learning what it's like to be a part of the Commanders, now that Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and Cliff and Joe Witt Jr., now that all these guys are here, and they're there for a summer to bond with their players. If you are going to be more than the sum of your parts, you need that connection. Is it a coincidence that that's the number one thing that the front office emphasized and the coaching staff emphasized when they got here? I don't think so. Hypothetically, if Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, Joe Witt Jr., and Adam Peters all got hired by the Buffalo Bills, I don't think they're preaching about culture quite as much. I think they're like, well, we got the MVP and the quarterback on our team, so why don't we go make this blockbuster trade to get us over the edge? When you're going to a rebuilding program, that's where you need the culture piece. That's why Dan Quinn, many of us, and myself included, I gotta own, I'll take full responsibility here, was not thrilled with the Dan Quinn hire. Was totally wrong. It was more than just being the best X's and O's guys in the NFL. It was about building a program, an identity. And Dan Quinn and Adam Peters did that. They knocked it out of the park in their first year. And now that you're getting the big swings, the trade in the draft picks to go get Laremy Tunsil and Marshon Lattimore, guys who have been all pros and pro bowlers in their career, this is where you're really going to start to see the difference. As long as both of them are healthy and they can stay healthy when the season starts, I'm expecting big years from them. One guy who is not at mandatory minicamp, of course, is Terry McLaurin. I will urge also everyone else out there, Commanders fans, take a deep breath. Cross your legs, do a little whatever you're supposed to do with yoga. Just take a deep breath, take a chill pill. Terry held out, did the same exact thing 3 years ago to get the contract that he is currently on, get that extension. It's the right thing to do from the business of football perspective. This happens all over the league. I think maybe as Commanders fans, if we're being honest here, because the team has been so abysmal for so long, and there have not been great players on the roster, we forgot that this is regular. We're not used to having important players hold out wanting long-term contracts with the team. Sure, Trent Williams and Brandon Sheriff and Kirk Cousins, and yeah, there were guys, but look around the league. Trey Hendrickson is holding out. TJ Watt is holding out. You think Jalen Ramsey is that mandatory minicamp? This happens all the time. It just happened with Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase could have won Offensive Player of the Year. Think he won the Triple Crown last year. If he didn't, I know he was right up there. This happens. I fully expect Terry McLaurin to get a new deal. And if he doesn't, then I'm going to trust Adam Peters that he will do the right thing. The man has not really put a foot wrong yet. Things haven't been perfect, but if you look at the overall picture, it's been great. And he has earned the right to do what he believes is in the best interest of the franchise. And if what's in the best interest of the franchise is evaluating this properly, which is, I love Terry McLaurin. He means so much to me and everybody else in this fan base. He is the heart and soul of the offense and the team. He's the best skill position player they have. He's an all-pro. He's all of these things. He's also going to be 30 this year. Wants to make at least $30 million. You know what that smells like? It smells like a lack of flexibility. It smells like you're signing up to pay someone a boatload of money when their best football is behind them. Everything we know over the course of NFL history tells us that receivers who are 30 and older do not have career years. It might happen here and there. It might. Terry's coming off the best year of his career. If you're asking me, do I think he'll have a better year than that? I don't. So, as important as he is to the culture and Jayden Daniels' development, it would be playing with fire in that respect. But if Adam Peters gets approached, I'm going to use one of the draft packages theorized by the Bleacher Report article. I wish Knox something. I wish I could remember his full name, the author that wrote it. But he said, if the New York Jets want Terry McLaurin, Austin Eckler, and a 5th-round pick, and the Commanders could get Breece Hall and a 2nd-round pick back, if I'm Adam Peters, I'm doing the deal. If the Pittsburgh Steelers need their George Pickens replacement, and they say, here's a 1st and a 4th, a 1st and a 5th for Terry, you make the deal. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, let's talk about that Jets deal. Breece Hall is the starting running back. Maybe you trade Brian Robinson Jr. in the 2nd-round pick that you got in that trade for Terry, and you go get Chris Olave. Maybe you go get Drake London. Maybe you get, you wouldn't need that much, but maybe you get Jordan Addison or someone, a top 15, top 20 receiver in the NFL who's in their early to mid-20s, a guy that's making less money than Terry would make and has a longer-term future with the franchise. If that happens and Adam Peters determines it's the best thing for the franchise, I'm rocking with it. I still fully believe Terry will get the deal, but if he doesn't, take a chill pill. We're all in this together. We have reason to believe in this team, so don't go turn your backs on them now. That's what I'll say about that. I want to move this on over to Javon Kinlaw, who was one of the most criticized, I think it's fair to say, free agent signings of the summer for the Commanders and the league as a whole. A lot of people felt like the Commanders really overpaid to get him, but I was watching an interview that defensive line coach Daryl Tapp did with JP Finley, who's a great reporter covering the Commanders. And in it, Coach Tapp said that he views Kinlaw as a 3-down guy who is ascending, finally had a healthy year last year, had a career year in sacks. And really, I'm thinking about the makeup of this line, this defensive line. And although Daryl Tapp made sure, as has Joe Witt Jr. and Dan Quinn, they've emphasized the fact that Javon Kinlaw will be used to get after the quarterback, which I don't doubt. But when I look at this defensive line now, and I look at the size, I look at Dietrich Wise, who's 6'6", 280, Eddie Goldman, who's over 300 pounds, Javon Kinlaw and Deron Payne, who are over 300 pounds, Jazon Newton. I'm looking at these guys, and then I also think about the speed that the Commanders now have at linebacker. It's weird to talk about the linebackers and not mention Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu, but Jordan McGee, Dominique Hampton, Caden Medrano, if you have all of this size up front, and the opposing offensive line can't get the push, and then if it's an outside run, which gave the Commanders so many problems last year, think of what Saquon did to him, think of what Bucky Irving did to him, think of what Jahmyr Gibbs did to them. If you have the size up front to control the push, and then you have speed to get out and chase down those tackles, or to set the edge, redirect guys back inside to where you have the size, this is a completely different run defense we're talking about. And this only works if the secondary holds up, but they have a lot of trust in Mike Sainer still. Reports are Trey Amos is looking really good, and a healthy Marshon Lattimore, I'm not betting against him being a great player, a lockdown corner. He had a great game against Detroit. I know that was kind of a one-off for what was not a great impression that he made in his Commanders tenure, short tenure, being traded midseason, but still, if you've got 3 guys who are legitimately lockdown corners, size up front, speed at the second level, that's a recipe for success. That's all I'm saying. And if you can redirect opposing teams, they want to run up the middle, you got Bobby Wagner, who's one of the best run defenders in NFL history. Frankie Louvu, 28 years old, coming off a career year. The reason I'm saying all of this is, no, the Commanders didn't go out and trade for TJ Watt or Max Crosby, but they bulked up. They had a bunch of size. They've got young guys who are developing. They made the additions, and this can still be a completely different unit. And one more thing here. I don't want to understate this. All of that size, what is the one thing we know about this Commanders coaching staff? They value situationals. How many times has Dan Quinn said, every single practice we have some sort of situational preparedness? 2-minute drill, 2-point conversion, 3rd and 10, 4th and 5. We go over all of it every single time. How many times do they emphasize that? What's the biggest situational that they have to defend against on defense? Tush push. Couldn't stop it. Nobody in the NFL could stop it. What happens when it's 4th and 1 and you've got Dietrich Wise, Jazon Newton, Deron Payne, Javon Kinlaw, Eddie Goldman, all of these guys, you can put them up on that line. I'm not saying the Commanders built their team around stopping a glorified quarterback sneak. I am saying that size was not added there by accident. And if the Commanders think that they are stopping the tush push would go a long way to helping them, it tells me they don't think they're that far away from the Eagles. Last year's roster, experience level, all of it, they were far away. But they were still down only 11 points at the 50-yard line in the fourth quarter, driving. If they score a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion, that's a 3-point game in the fourth quarter of the NFC Championship game. It's so easy to forget about that when you look at the final score and see 55-23. But the 3 fumbles, all the turnovers that everybody had, just like they had in Week 16 when they played them at Northwest, and they still found a way to win. You get rid of that stuff. You get better in the situationals, at least defensively, because offensively it would be hard to get much better. But defensively, you find a way to stop a tush push just once. You take 3, 7 points, whatever it is, off the board for the Eagles, and you get the ball back. That could be a 14-point swing. And maybe that's the difference in beating the Eagles in the playoffs. That's not what I'm telling you. That's what the Commanders' coaching staff and front office are telling you from how they've constructed the roster. We're going to close this out by talking about a news story coming out of Cincinnati, Ohio. No, it's not directly about the Trey Hendrickson trade package, although it does involve that topic. Hear me out on why we're talking about this. So this comes from Shemar Stewart, who is a rookie, the 17th overall pick out of Texas A&M, a defensive end who is still refusing to sign his rookie contract with the Bengals. Here's a direct quote from Shemar Stewart today. "I'm 100% right. It should be a no-brainer. In Trey's case, it should be a no-brainer too. I'm not asking for nothing y'all, that being the Bengals, have never done before, but y'all just want to win arguments more than winning games, in my opinion." Whoa. For a rookie to say the team that drafted him, his own team, is not interested in winning games, first of all, it's kind of crazy. And the craziest thing about it, actually, even more crazy than that, I think the Bengals fans are on his side. I think they agree with him. The Bengals are trying to make Shemar Stewart the guinea pig for a new sort of contract clause in which any defaults on the contract would result in a void of all guaranteed money on the contract as opposed to voiding the guaranteed money for that year alone. So that could be a bunch of things. That could be legal issues, team violations, conduct issues, social media problems, conditioning, sports betting infractions, anything at all that is punitive or could result in punishment. Instead of just wiping away the guaranteed money that year, it would wipe all the guaranteed money away for the entire deal. It's only a rookie deal, so it's not the most money he'll probably make in his NFL career, but it is still a 5-year contract. So you're signing up for 5 years of potentially no guaranteed money for any sort of violation in your contract. It's a first of its kind contract that first round picks haven't gotten. The Bengals first round pick last year, Amarius Mims, he doesn't have it in his contract. So for them to come to Shemar Stewart this and say, hey, you got to sign this, I don't blame him. I do not blame him whatsoever for refusing to sign this piece of paper. Now, this is the interesting part. With Shemar Stewart, you look at him, he wasn't overly productive in college. In fact, he was not productive at all, really. He was an edge rusher who had 1.5 sacks in 3 straight seasons. Graded as a very good run defender, but did not have the production. Was the most athletic player in the history of the NFL Combine at the defensive end position, so that's why he worked his way into the first round for the most part. But they drafted Shemar Stewart to fill the shoes of Trey Hendrickson. If neither one of them is there, stay with me here. As long as the two of them are refusing to sign the contract, they are helping each other. They're giving each other more leverage. As soon as one of them does sign, the other one loses their leverage. Think about Shemar Stewart's case. If he signs Trey Hendrickson, they look at him, they're like, dude, you're 31 years old. The whole reason you're holding out is because you want more money. You've got 1 year left on your deal. We'll just take your game checks from you, and then you can hit the open market and free agency at 32 years old, having not played last year. and you think that's the way to raise your value in the open market, that's what they could say to Trey Hendrickson. What they could turn around and say to Shemar Stewart is, hey, buddy, we've got a guy over here who had 17 and a half sacks in back-to-back seasons. We don't think he's going to forfeit his $10, $15, $20 million, whatever's on his contract, by refusing to play every single game. You're a rookie. We don't even owe you that much money to begin with. Kick rocks. That's what they could do. So as long as neither one of those guys is under contract, or, not under contract because Trey Hendrickson is under contract, but as long as both those guys are on bad terms with the team and not cooperating, they have leverage with one another. Could that drive the Bengals into forcing through a trade package for Trey Hendrickson? Doesn't seem like it. They don't seem all that interested in it. And honestly, if the Commanders hypothetically were to trade for Hendrickson, that would probably mean, if they gave up any sort of value, like say more than a 4th round pick, which they almost inevitably would have to get him, there would also be a contract extension associated with that. Now we find ourselves back in the same conversation we were having with Terry McLaurin, where it's like, it's a guy on the other side of 30, probably going downhill imminently. Do we want to give him this huge deal? Something to certainly consider. And if you want to sign Terry, then there's probably no way you can get Hendrickson done. You want to trade for Hendrickson, there's probably no way you can have Terry. I don't know how they're going to make it work. I don't even know if they're going to try this trade. But as long as Shemar Stewart's not signing his deal, it is something to keep an eye on. And it is another reason for you to hit that subscribe button, because I will be reporting on all of the Commanders news as it happens. I will also be coming out with new content in the future. So please, again, hit that subscribe button so you're locked into all my videos. Hit the like button if you did enjoy this, and jump in the comment section. The reason I do all of this is to get your opinions on everything. So go on down there, leave me your thoughts. I'll be responding to everybody. I will catch you all in the next episode.